competition, of course, between the two Japanese. They're both in this round. There's a third one to come later, but only one of them can expect to have a chance of qualifying, as there's only two per country. That was the second foot out. She scores 8.75 and is down in 9th place. Her compatriot is in 3rd. Dominique Dawes leads for the United States by more than a mark from Kristina Molnar of Hungary, with 3 of the 4 rotations completed.
And we'll be back with the final rotation in a few minutes' time. There you saw some of the judges having a few problems. It's new to everybody. Now, in the past, there has been criticism of the judging of gymnastics, said to be sometimes too subjective, occasionally biased, and very difficult for those watching to see the differences in standard in a fraction of a second. The new rules this year go some way to helping the situation. Routines are no longer automatically marked out of 10. In Seoul in 1988, Daniela Silvas had this vault to take the overall Olympic title. But it was Elena Shushanova's execution that secured gold. Can you spot the difference? In Barcelona, Shannon Miller's vault was better than the eventual champions. Tatiana Gutsu only needed 9.95 for the title, and that's what she achieved. The vaults appeared the same.
Gutsu's legs in flight are slightly softer than Miller's. That means there's a bend at the knees and the landing's not quite as precise. Miller's legs are jammed together and it's very stylish in flight. That was the difference.
Can the human eye really detect such differences? We can't at home. I mean, how can the judges?
The judges are very experienced. They've been on an international circuit and obviously they've seen an awful lot of slow-mo and they expect a gymnast's fault to occur. I mean, if a gymnast is known for having slightly soft legs and perhaps not as stylish in flight as she or he should be, then they half expect it. And usually their score confirms that. But with the naked eye, I mean, really, you just can't see it.
With this new code, we've seen what the gymnasts have had to do to change their routines. What about the judges? What are they now looking for?
Well, as far as the men judges are concerned, they can only award 9 marks. And then after that, when the start value, that is the overall value of the exercise, is announced, they can start considering bonus. And bonus you get in terms of taking great risk, if you like. The more difficult the skill, then your score mounts. It's very difficult to get a score in the 9.5s. And the women, they start with a score of 9.4, and then they too are into the realms of bonus.
Svetlana Boginskaya performed the perfect bars routine at last year's Olympics, but she didn't achieve the perfect score. There was no doubting her style, but other gymnasts with greater difficulty as well as style were still to come and would need to be given credit for their routines. This week will be the first use of the new rules in gymnastics. Naturally, there are problems to iron out. The code came under the spotlight at the men's judging conference at the weekend, and it became evident that each nation's interpretation needed to be harmonised.
We were running into a difficulty of many of our top gymnasts really being only split by the odd half a tenth or 1/10 of a mark. Hopefully this will in fact help us to divide those top gymnasts, and also the marks will be down. They won't be as high as we've been used to seeing in the past. Anybody scoring round about the 9.5s will be some of your best gymnasts in the world.
Bias reared its ugly head at the Moscow Olympics. The darling of the crowd was at the centre of a heated judging dispute. Nadia Comaneci had wobbled in the early part of her beam routine. Judges argued, and some decided that it was an integral part of the programme, others that it was a clear error. She was marked down and came away with the bronze.
All judges will make mistakes, but the critical and the serious one is if there's any national bias or bias towards a particular gymnast. And there is a series of sanctions. The first sanction would be a verbal warning, then there are 2 yellow cards, and then there's finally the red card, and the red card means you are out of the competition, and it also means you won't be allowed to judge the following major manifestation. And these cards have been handed out in the past.
So the judges poised to watch Group 1's final rotation for the women, and that's where we're going now, and rejoining Barry and Chris.
We're looking down at little Risa Sugawara of Japan, currently in 3rd place, and anxious to get on with her beam routine. where Dominic Dawes will be the last to go. Gap at the top, 1.125 between Dawes and Molnar, with Sugawara in third place, Stacey Galloway of Canada in fourth, and the Chinese in fifth. Oof. But very tense in the warm-up, but she's recovered now with that little shimmy.
Well, she'll be very pleased to have negotiated those opening moments of her routine. Plenty of difficulty put in there. A straight back somersault mount and then 2 somersaults on the beam. And quite an unusual move there, a one-handed backflip. And yet another somersault. Concentration for the dismount. And well landed, double pike back. A small deduction on landing as she stepped backwards, but she'll be happy with that routine, as you can see.
And a lovely smile. It's all over. I've done the 4 pieces of apparatus.
And there we see the 2 straight back somersaults with the legs split to make the landing easier. And then the backflip with one hand. As the rounds go on, we will certainly see higher dismounts than that, but a very solid routine.
Stacey Galloway of Canada, waiting to vault.
A well-performed Yushchenko with a full twist. There we see her hit the top of the horse, a good push. Slight loss of form as she twisted, which caused the big step backwards.
First of the 2 vaults allowed, but now each counts, and days gone by, you could have one that didn't go and one that did, and you just took the best. Now the points are averaged. She has a second vault to come. We move to the beam, because when the Chinese are on the beam, they tend to take the attention of the crowd. Yi Lin Lin.
For the real purist of gymnastics, everybody enjoys the Chinese the best of all. They might not always win, but they're certainly beautiful.
9.1, the score for Sugawara. Currently